really feel.
Oh, I'm sorry. That thing started without my knowledge. I apologize for that.
Amazing. That I was drawn to my seat. I thought a movie was starting. I was like, oh, I gotta watch this. But really, in reality, I think we're just scratching surface, man. 10 years of grind on the West Coast, and all of a sudden you're a fresh face in California. It's funny how this game works.
You've been in this for 10 years, right? And I was watching How to Die Alone. I saw the whole series. I saw that you played Sean, the baggage handler. And my guy Sean is kind of funny. Like, I was enjoying your moments with the cast. Like, everyone looked like they had like a whole lot of fun on this show. And there was a camaraderie. It felt like there was a camaraderie that extended beyond the screen. Can you share like any memorable moments from working on that show? Because I know this one is fresh on my mind.
Oh, most definitely, man. I think first and foremost, shout out to Natasha Rothwell, who is an amazing captain, showrunner, lead. Every hat she's wearing. Her baby, man. She been doing this project for about 6 years now, 7 years. I don't even know. And it takes a long time and persistence and consistency to like get to this place of like networks giving you your own damn show, and she created this beautiful narrative of inside. It's like, remember Beyond the Glory?
Yeah.
It's like one of those, man. Like you get to kind of like really go on the journey with Mel, her character. And when it's a good day or a good moment, you really feel the good. And then when it's a shitty moment, you really feel it. And like, hats off to her to have this vision and create a beautiful cast that is like a lived in, everyday cast. You know what I mean? It's not like that storybook that everybody's like, oh, that person's, should be on a TV show. It's like everyday people, and that's what I think the audience really connects with.
Man, I love her as a character. I remember watching her with my wife on that HBO series that everybody's seen. And I just love seeing her branch out and then also pull people up to come do these amazing shows with her. So that was amazing. You've worked in a lot of stuff, right? Like you were in the Chicken Sisters, right? You played Gordo, a cameraman for a reality show. Like, how are you getting these roles, and how much of what we see are you able to add a little bit of Arkie and all this stuff?
I think that is exactly it, Anthony. I think it's like, a lot of people when they're performing or becoming an actor, they.
What up, bro?
Hey, bro, I'm just doing an interview right now. Sorry, bro.
Oh, okay.
Everything good?
Yeah, I need to go upstairs, hopping out of the shower.
Nice. Pause. All right, I'll talk to you later. Where was I? Sorry.
The Chicken Sisters and how
yeah. That's my young cat from that's my young cat from New York, bro. NY Virtuoso. He's an artist. You definitely gotta connect with him too if you're a New York boy, man. He is by far one of the most talented musicians coming out of the East Coast, coming out of the world, to be honest, man. But look him up, NY Virtuoso.
All right, I got it.
But yeah, Chicken Sisters, man. I think it's just again being a little bit of myself to each page. I've worked really hard to find this zen of of a flow, because like everybody wants to do everything overnight. They want instant gratification. They want to be an actor or a day trader or a photographer, whatever it is. They want to know all the knowledge overnight. Whereas I have 4 older brothers, man, and I understood that it's a slow grind, and that's with anything and everything you do, because I've been watching these guys in the stock market of life their whole lives. So I think that's one thing for me is I understand that, especially me not coming from a background of film and TV, I just kind of like jumped into it kind of cold turkey.
Mm-hmm.
And then my community kind of like supported me the most, man. Being a Punjabi actor who doesn't kind of give in to the stereotype, of putting on the turban and doing the head nods and the head bobs. I think it's kind of refreshing for the audience to kind of see someone just be themselves and just be a present day.
That's beautiful, especially getting the support from the community, right? Like we need more of that. I always say that a rising tide raises all ships. So I'm glad that you're getting that support. And just touching on a little bit of like what you were saying, like almost like being a jack of all trades. Like you in your career has had opportunity to jump from genre to genre to genre, right? Like you've got supernatural stuff with Siren, you got straight up sci-fi with the Twilight Zone. What has been your personal favorite genre to work in, and what are the differences to you in working in each one?
Well, whenever you get to work with like a Marvel or a magnitude of a ship like that, it's crazy to know that I'm just a brown boy from Surrey, man, that had hoop dreams initially, and then genetics came in. I'm not gonna be you know 6'8" like I wish I was. I'm 5'11", but I'm lying, telling everybody I'm 6 foot. But the girls know very well I'm 5'11". You know what I mean? But again, man, I think it's like just betting on yourself, Anthony. And it comes back down to being. I have no favorites because it's like your children. You know what I mean? Like I learned so much from each one, and understanding how each performer has their own flow. Like there's stars that are number ones and two on the call sheet that don't want to be talked to, which I respect that. And then there's ones and twos that don't respect your time, and you know what I mean. Like it's just like the game is so unpredictable that I'm just happy to be working. I'm happy to be a good teammate. You pass me the ball, I'll shoot it. Or I'll make the smart play. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of like an intelligent IQ guy. As you can see on How to Die Alone, Sean and Deshaun, like my scene partner, CP comedian CP. Shout out to the man. Is a legend. He is by far one of the funniest individuals I have ever come across on planet Earth. And when we did our scene test, our screen test, it was ass, man. And like it was cause like one, we're doing it over a Zoom, there was lag, and like we just couldn't find that chemistry initially because it's like, yo, we haven't kicked it. He's from Detroit, so his comedy is like hungry. Like, you know what I mean? Like his comedy is off the jump. He'll give you 8 minutes of improv right now. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, shit, can I get a cup of coffee? You know what I mean? Like, and I think being a good teammate and understanding how to make the chemistry flow. I knew I wasn't gonna, put the pedal to the metal and outdo CP. So like I kind of like brought it down, and CP said one thing to me straight up, man, because funny story, you're gonna get some inside scoop. First day, we're filming, and like I think I'm a big boy now. I'm coming off. I did this Canadian show called Our Big Punjabi Family, where I was a lead in it, and we were making some noise over here, and all of a sudden I booked this. I'm like, yo, I'm on a black show now. I'm on a brown show. I'm on a black show. Shit, what's next? And then Chicken Sisters came on, so like then I'm on like a ethnically white show. So then I'm like, yo, I'm nice, Anthony. I'm starting to like, you catching the chart. I'm like, yo, my stock's going up. So we're doing the first scene. I have no idea who Natasha Rothwell is in reality. I know she's the star of this shit, but like it's just like a job to me. You know what I mean? Like I just pull up. I'm on my 10-day contract. You know what I mean? Hopefully they extend me for a season. You know what I mean? But I come in, do my part, and leave. And we're going around doing the scene, and I always bring 20% of improv to everything, And we were doing that Six Flags scene where Deshaun talk about we going to Six Flags and Dee gonna be mad and da 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 da. And I remember I was putting on I go to Six Flags to capture it, and I thought I was killing it with that, And I said it the first time, and then I obviously had to keep it consistent. Said it the second time. And third time, Natasha says, cut. Hey, sweetheart, come over here. She pulls me to the side. And she goes, and like CP's watching. And CP's like, yo, like I'm with CP right now. You know, if I look good, CP look good. If
Yeah.
CP look good, I look good. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, she's like, hey, just stick to the page. And I was like, ooh, shit. First day of work and I get called out like that. I'm like, yes, ma'am. I from now on will never leave the page. If you need to find Sean Gill, I will be on the page. And real talk, man. I just let kind of CP take it from there, and he said, "Hey, just take my lead." You know what I mean? Like, and I'm glad I trusted him, man.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful that that whole experience happened. It sounds like you learned some stuff walking away from that scene. Like, I'm curious, like, what other experiences, if any, has this filming this has how's it like changed you as like an actor, as a performer? Like, what other life lessons are you going to take with you into the future that you've gotten from either How to Die Alone or any other films that you worked on or shows?
I think humility is a big part of it, man. And seeing how a lot of really successful, not just actors, but like producers, directors, the whole community of background and grips and production crew, like it takes really a village to make good content. So I think me just being a student always, being in gratitude always, and understanding that I can just only get better. You know what I mean? Like there's no way that this is a craft that like my hands or something will go on me physically, that I can't continue to just craft the art. So I'm very glad that I didn't become a trucker, like how my family wanted. Mind you, my brothers tell me all the time. They'd be like, "Hey, you would have had 8 kids, by now."
In 8
And I said
cities.
I would have said I would have had child payments too. You know what I mean? Yeah, straight up.
So you've gained a lot of experience. You've talked about believing in yourself, and I'm seeing the fruits of your labor because you're actually expanding into producing, right? Like you've expanded into producing over the last 6 years. Can you talk to me about producing? Like, did acting prepare you at all for this shift, and how are you liking producing and a role behind the camera?
So before I got into actual film and TV, I was doing YouTube stuff. So after the commercial stuff, I was doing YouTube, and I felt like I was doing YouTube before YouTube became like cool. It was still like, not looked upon in the industry as like credit. Like, you know what I mean? If you said you came from like a YouTube space,
Mm-hmm.
nobody in film and TV gave you any credit. They're like, whatever, like, high school, right? And I think I was doing a lot of my own producing at that time, meaning I was calling all my homies, I was getting everything, connected and plugged up. I was shooting everything, you know what I mean? I was a part of the editing process, the rollout process. So I feel like I've always had producing, in my bloodline. And it was only a matter of time that, once you jump on a lot of sets and you understand, like, to be in the longevity of this craft, uh, there's only so much work you can get in front of the camera. So it was a part of me of just knowing it's inevitable for my growth to kind of tap into that line. And especially I'm following Seth Rogen's blueprint, man. It's not rocket science, A lot of people out here, following Warren Buffett's format. A lot of people trying to, I'm just following Seth Rogen, man. With everything that he's been able to do as a Vancouver native, and for his community, I thought, yo, man, like, I got to do it for mine. So here we are.
I love that. I love that. I hope my friends from Z5 Global are paying attention. Um, so you've also gotten into with producing. You also founded BMA Films, right? And it seems like a natural extension of like this creative journey that you're describing. What was the biggest lesson you learned in creating and running your own film company?
Understanding that it's not, there's no timeline to it. I was able to raise about $65,000 to do pre-production development. And initially, I thought like within a year we'd be able to raise the funds and pay back pre-production. And that was obviously not. We weren't able to do that. So to understand, like you can't promise anybody anything on a timeline, especially investors. Was a big part of it. But having two big bros and mentors in one Brandon J. McLaren and two Max Toplin, they were vets. So like any other venture that I would do where I'm the least qualified, I reached out to two big bros that had a lot more knowledge, and I could give them the lead and kind of again watch and observe and be a student in the background.
So I kind of want to dig into that a little bit. And this is more so for like those aspiring actors, those aspiring producers, those people, those black and brown people that look like us that want to know this. How does this stuff happen? Like, does this stuff fall into your lap? Do you have to find investors? Like, what can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, you got to have a story first and foremost. If you have a story that you are passionate about and you feel like it needs to be told. I just am again like a student of film. I'm watching every culture kind of get their time, and I know it's only going to be a matter of time before it's going to be the Punjabi and Indian community. And I know that I need to be aligned with having my credentials in the right place, that I can be trusted with that story and those stories, so they know that we're not going to take any shortcuts. And we've earned it. It's not just me taking some money and giving it to a production team and saying, here, make this story. It's, we were the plumbers, you know what I mean? Before we could, move the toilet seats. So it's one of those things, man. Just, again, aligning yourself with intellectual people that are a lot smarter than yourself, and, being a good teammate. Sometimes it's just simple as that, Anthony. You know what I mean? Just like I'm so thankful that basketball was my first love, and Steve Nash was a part of that first, initial campaign. Because if it wasn't for the game, I wouldn't have any of the qualities or the following of love. Because we used to, like, again, no social media when we used to play. Mm-hmm. And that's how we made our friends, man. You rolled out to a different school, you balled out, and you gained their respect, and then they knew your name. They'd be like, oh, Fleetwood, oh, Arkie, yeah, he's a shooter. So I think it's the same thing on any set, when you're a good person on set, and you don't got that ego hovering over you, and you stay in the light, and you kind of like, look out for yours. I think everything kind of falls into place. But at the same time, you got to know what you want. You got to know your worth. You got to know the power of no. And never cheat yourself, man. That is the simple, basic, 10 years of my philosophy is understanding that I had to take those roles that nobody else wanted to do initially, and they laughed at me, man. Like, my first role in film was I didn't even audition for it. I was a terrorist on a TV show called Rogue, and I didn't even audition for it, Anthony. I was like, shit. This acting thing's pretty easy. I was like, I didn't even need to start do nothing. And literally, they just gave me a gun, dressed me up the part, man, and I killed it. Like they said, look mean. I was like, it was very simple, and bada bing, I got a credit, and from there it kind of just kept rolling. And they initially, there was a lot of cab drivers and bouncers and security guards and thugs and all that stuff that you got to kind of go through to let these guys know that they're not going to get rid of you. So if you're watching this and you want to be in this film and TV industry, one, if you don't got the backing to get into producing, I would say get into producing, because it would be a lot easier to hire yourself to do the work. Or again, just be a student of it, get in a class, watch film, um, go to theater plays. Theater is a huge part of performing as well. It's like, the cousin of acting. But yeah, man, just indulge yourself in it. How did you get into this, Anthony? Again,
Oh, now we're gonna reverse
yeah, we
seats
went
now.
on
All
both
right.
ways. Yeah, come on, bro. Let's do it.
Me, I started off because of Spider-Man. Honestly, Spider-Man has been my thing. I started off just drawing, being an artist. Uh, I grew up in a really rough neighborhood. I might not sound like it, but I'm from the South Bronx. I grew up in the projects. A lot of people in my class didn't make it very far. But one of the things that helped me get to where I'm at today was one of my friends gave me a Spider-Man comic, and he used to draw it, and he used to draw the covers, and he used to like just hold it next to him, and he used to just draw it like a human Xerox machine. And I started to do that because my grandmother sheltered me. She wouldn't let me go outside. So I would stay inside and I would draw comic book covers. Eventually, I got into art high school. Eventually, I took that same self-motivation to teach myself things, to teach me how to make websites, how to do video editing, how to do graphic design, how to get into marketing. And now I'm a lot further from where I used to be. I run the movie blog. Movieblog.com is probably the first blog website that was dedicated to film. It's 22 years old. We've got a big following. We have about 400,000 unique monthly viewers, and we've got going on 16,000 subscribers on YouTube. So it's been a lot of, similar stories, right? Like it takes a lot of self-motivation and a lot of perseverance. I know for me, it was a struggle. I'm curious for you, like in your journey, when you're working through this stuff, how did you stay motivated? Because I know I went through some hardship, but I can only imagine hearing from what you're telling me, like, oh, you get a role that's playing a terrorist. You don't even audition, like how do you stay motivated to keep going to get to where you are now?
Man, yo, I remember going into meetings with my agent and just straight up crying, bro. Just straight up crying in tears, in emotion, because I know how good I am. And I know and understand how difficult it is to be seen, especially in this time of like new age modern media where it's like, yo, you post something and you get 5 likes, you feel like nobody cares,
Mm-hmm.
So the motivation, I think, for me was one, I didn't want to get a job, bro. Like I was so focused on and determined to like prove my family wrong that I had something here, because before YouTube really started popping off, I was getting millions of views. You know what I mean? I just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't getting any revenue from it. If I was able to turn that into a revenue, profit building business, I think I would have stayed on YouTube a lot longer and just like curated that. But death threats, when you're pushing a community uh further faster than anything at that time, like I was pretty much, I had this character. I'll give you an example. Two Turbans
Mm-hmm.
was exactly two chains, all his music. I was just changing English to Punjabi. Exact same stuff, like word for word. Because in my head, I was like, yo, man, everybody and their mama is listening to Two Chains, but this shit is ridiculous. How about if I put it into my mother tongue? How ridiculous would this be? So I was just doing just like, I guess you can say like consumer data relations, because I was just seeing like how people were reacting to it, and people were flabbergasted. They were like, yo, man, I can't believe you're saying all this. This is not music. Like, what is this garbage? And then there was people that understood like the comedy of it, because I was literally just doing Saturday Night Live and Mad TV sketches where they were like, yo, this is genius. Like, this guy broke a code. But again, when you're, breaking generational curses. You know, your family doesn't understand that you're doing something new and different, and you know, there might be a reward at the end of the rainbow. I just, you know, was again being pulled so many different ways that I think that gave me such thick skin, you know, like when you're rolling out and you're like hood famous, you know, because I was like the class clown everywhere I went. I was the guy, like if it was halftime, I'd get up and do the Tootsie Roll, you know what I mean? Then hit 10 threes on you, you know what I mean? Like talk shit, you know what I mean? If your sister was in the crowd, I'd be like hollering at her as I'm, you know, I'm just a fool, you know what I mean? Four older brothers, Anthony, you know, like I kind of was like built for entertainment always. I was always a loudmouth, but I was never ever, you know, backing it up because I had my brothers in the crowd, you know, sitting there and people knew. They're like, oh, you can't mess with Arkie, man, like that. And I kind of carry that same energy through life, but now I'm just a lot nicer, you know, because I went to India when I was 19 and it kind of changed my life. It was the most humbling trip of my life. I kind of came back. I called up all the friends that I, you know, did wrong, all the girls that I was just, you know, foolish over, and just apologize because like that was such a surreal trip of understanding that that could have been our life if our parents didn't, you know, decide to move and bet on themselves. We would have been in the village, man, you know, trying to sleep with one of our cousins. You know, it's not cool. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I love your dark humor. But that's eye-opening, you know, going to India, having that experience, changing your views. Um, you know, one thing I always try to advise people is to travel the world, right? We could be very insular and very insulated in the way that we think of ourselves until we start to see things in a much more macro level, right? Once we start to see the world. So I applaud you, and I'm so happy that you had that experience. Um, going kind of almost full circle, you know, you've had this opportunity to see the world more. You've had this life-changing experience. You're growing as an actor, you're growing as a producer. Here's where I want to kind of put a bow on it. What is your dream? Like, what do you want to do? Where do you see yourself? Do you want to be like, I don't know, the next Lakshya? Do you want to be the Punjabi Brad Pitt? Do you want to be behind the scenes? Where do you want to see yourself 5 to 10 years from now?
Great question. I I definitely see myself on this uprise of just consistently getting better. I want to be happy. And that's, I understand, is a wave of life. There's ups, there's downs, there's things that we can't plan for. There's people we're going to have to, you know, give back to the universe, and you know, we're going to have to deal with that those emotions, man, that you just can't prepare for ever, you know? So, one, I understand I haven't, you know, settled myself into marriage or children because I'm really committed to this. These are my babies. So I know as long as I can continue to create good work, it'll live way longer than my lifetime. So I think, Anthony, to be honest, with all the work and what I've accomplished so far, again, like I told you, I'm just scratching surface. I can't wait for, you know, more producers and directors and you know, TV viewers to come across the work and understand the journey. You know, I think that is the biggest thing. Is I can't wait to see where I'm at in 5 to 10 years, just to see where I'm at in 10 to 20 years. You know what I mean? Like I just want to consistently get better and create a system of love, man. You know that this world is a really dark place, and you know humor is one of, you know, my superpowers to kind of, you know, fight through it. And there's good days, there's bad days, but I know at the end of the day, somebody's going to be coming across my work for the first time forever. So I think that is my happiness. That's where I kind of see myself, is just constantly, you know, creating a new smile forever.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. If nobody has told you this in a while, I want to say it. I am proud of you. I am proud of your work. I'm proud of your outlook. I'm proud of your experience. I'm proud of your trajectory. I'm very proud of you and your mission statement that I've heard. So I know I don't. I hope you hear it more, and I just wanted to give it to you. If right now, I'm proud of you. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Maji, love, bro.
Arkie, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this interview. My audience is gonna have a blast with this. I hope they have as much fun as we've been having. This has been great. But I'm really excited to see your next project. I know you got the book coming up. I didn't even talk about the book. But I know you have another project coming up. The book. This is one of your other love childs that's in the works. I don't know if you wanted to touch on it real quick before I let you go.
The book, it's a BMA project. It's about pretty much the Ayurvedic world meets the pharmaceutical world. It's about a young girl, Simran, who comes from a family of healing in the state of Punjab and is forced to flee her village in '84. And her dad was a healer, so he had the book that had all, the cures for most, deadly diseases. So fast forward 20 years forward, she's in New York, your place, the hometown, and she wants to become a doctor, and she needs to sell stuff to get into med school, and she comes across the book, and she had befriended a patient of hers, Edgar, and she always used to put sugar in his coffee. But he was a diabetic. He wasn't supposed to, be having sugar. But he was on a hospice. He was going to die anyway. So she was like, "Here you go, man. Have some sugar. You won't die." But she actually went to the temple and got it got transcribed from Sanskrit, and she was able to cure Edgar. Which then she understood that maybe the pharmaceutical side there isn't a lot of power, and there's a lot more power in the Ayurvedic medicine realm. So she goes back to India to unlock it, where surprise, surprise, there's family waiting to grab that book off her. So that's kind of how the story goes. You're gonna have to tune in. You're gonna have to tune in to see what happens with the book.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm right there front and center to do reviews and interviews when it's done, man. Hit me up.
Love.
But thank you so much, Arkie. I'm looking forward to your future roles. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Give thanks, bro. Thank you for the time.
Absolutely.